it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us for a special Season 8 The Walking Dead preview. I'm joined, per usual, my buddy James, and I don't know you guys, but we're both excited as hell. And it's finally almost here. Almost here. Season
Almost.
8. Let's go ahead and call this the Redemption Season. But before we kick into the preview, a couple announcements. Charities are still going on. Charity drives are still going on. American Foundation for Suicide Prevention charity is still down below. If you guys can donate towards that, that'd be greatly appreciated. We're trying to hit our $1,000 mark still. We're over our 50%. Hopefully we'll try to get there before the end of the year. Let's level up and let's open up a new charity drive. What you can also do, though, which is always appreciated, is donating towards the Red Cross to help out with the hurricane relief. If you guys can't donate, we understand that. What you can always do to help us out is like, subscribe, follow us on all the social medias, the Twitch, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube. Head on over to echo5studios.com. I just threw up a bunch of links to some of my videos up there. I'll try to do a little bit better of a job keeping that up to date. But what you guys do is, by liking, subscribing, and following us, pushes us up in the metrics so that our videos are viewed by more people. And when videos are viewed by more people, then we get more ad revenue. And with the ad revenue, 100% of that ad revenue is going towards charities. So you guys can kind of, not saying donate directly, but indirectly help out by raising money for charity by just promoting us. And we can't tell you guys to click on the ads, but like I just mentioned, all ad revenue goes towards charity. So do with that information as you will. And finally, James, Season 8's coming up, less than a couple days away. What do you think, man?
I've been trying to promote the show as best as I could. I'm promoting the universe. So I obviously they always have a new novel chapter just before the Walking Dead season starts. So Return to Woodbury, the 8th novel came out for the Walking Dead, and once you start, seeing the promotions for the Fear the Walking Dead season finale and the new issues of the comic books. And then you start to see the novels come out, because the novels come out in October. You know that the premiere is right around the corner. So I downloaded the novel and I listened to it, and it's just further getting me amped up for Season 8, because you get your Walking Dead juices going, I guess you could call it. You start the cogs in the brain start going, and you start remembering all the things about season 1 through 7 that you loved the most and you didn't like. And like Jay said, it's the redemption season. So it's like, how are they going to spin it? And then with the new news of, they're going to have a crossover with one of the characters from Fear onto The Walking Dead, or vice versa, it makes it that much better. And then the announcement that Scott Gimple is the producer of both. So it's almost like they're hitting you with all this stuff, getting you ready for Season 8. In my mind, it's just they're getting you ready for a big season. They're not doing this for any. They're doing all of this to prepare you. And I've stayed away from the spoiler sites. I don't want to see what's gonna happen. I try to stay off the internet and try not to look at certain YouTubers that I followed. That will spoil it. I will watch YouTubers that I know won't spoil it. So it's just. It's just like Jay said, the anticipation is there. The adrenaline is starting to kick in. We always, when he lived in Albany and didn't live in Idaho, we always would go over, what we expected, and then the Sunday night would come and Jay and Kelsey would come over the house. So it was always like a mini big event for us, and this is how it feels now. So. Definitely can't wait, man. It's a war. So
yeah, and a lot of those YouTubers, a lot of websites, they're flying drones into the video recordings, the shootings of the episodes. They go all out. They camp out inside of the tents to see who's there, who's on shoots. Us, we're just like you guys. We just kind of watch the episodes, and we use the information that's freely out there. We don't try to dig too far beneath the surface. There's already a review out there for the first episode. I was just tempted to click on it, but
but
no, man.
You kind of want to, when it comes to these premieres, you kind of want to like do your best at ignoring them. I know it's hard, but since I've been doing the show, I've tried to do my best at ignoring them, unless you're scrolling and you're trying to see information about the new, you're trying to review what was said on Talking Dead,
Yeah.
and trying to see the trailers or the clips for the next weeks, and you get hit with the spoilers and stuff like that. But if you really are passionate about it, and there's nothing wrong with people who like spoilers. I'm not taking anything away. Some people don't mind it. I don't mind it in a way, but for this show, it depends. Like, I was pissed off, so I was going to the spoiler sites with the Negan, who Negan killed, because I had my own theory on who he was going to kill. Yeah. Now I wanted to see how close it was, and they completely spoiled it, because like Jay said, they're flying drones and stuff. Oh, they're doing all sorts of things. So it's
it's different from finding Easter eggs by like watching together with people, and it's another thing to like in video games to like actually hack the game and go through the code and find it. It's not organic anymore.
It's not, and I took a lot of time, and Jay will tell you, because I would tell him week by week, and I told him when they had the season 6 finale, they basically told you who was going to die. They told you all the way up throughout the season. Glenn finding the pictures in the satellite compound of Negan's. There was a reason they showed Glenn looking at those pictures. Obviously, they've also been teasing Glenn's death with a baseball bat the last 2 seasons, so you automatically knew Glenn was going to perish, and he kept escaping death and kept escaping death. And then you looked at little things like them having Glenn's name on the wall in Alexandria, and how they couldn't erase it out completely. So you knew that it was almost like a foreshadowing of what's going to happen. So if you put the pieces together for Glenn, and then if you read the comic books, you knew that his death was coming. Now, Abraham was a little bit more tricky, because Abraham, he started to find love and whatnot. But the thing was, season 6 finale was in a point of view of the victim. And they gave you several hints that Abraham was the victim, especially when Simon was telling Rick, somebody in that RV, and you see, Abraham's reflection in the rearview mirror there. And it's just like, you kept getting, obviously the point of view at the end, it was related to the 2 characters that were going to die. It was a point of view in the van, and it was a point of view, when Negan was choosing people. And of course, Abraham was the only one who bucked up. You were able to, if you really paid attention and you dug through it, you didn't need drones. They basically told you it was impressionistic. They tried to sell it like it was impressionistic, but it really wasn't. They told you what's going to happen. As Jay and I always tell you, they give you hints on what's going to happen. So without any of that stuff happening in season 7, they basically have complete episodes filled with hints and fillers and a bunch of useless information. You are now looking forward to season 8, because it feels like a fresh start. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to look at it as a fresh start. You have to look at it as the next chapter, because season 7, if anything, it puts you in that position to look at it as a fresh start, because it was a down season.
Yeah, and it's picking up right where we kind of left off, and it wasn't a steady situation either. I guess a lot of times The Walking Dead, they'll leave it kind of hanging their transition phase. Yep. They just found the prison, because they've been living down the road. They just got blown out of the prison for a mid-season break. They just escaped Terminus. So now so this is kind of transitioning to, all right, now the fight's been turned around now. Everyone's come together. And they just literally just fought these people outside their gate. So what do you think? Do you think it's going to pick up right where it left off? Or do you think it's going to be like, okay, a couple days later, they're regrouping and they're going to carry on? Or is it going to be, hey, the trash pill kids are still outside the gates, we should go out there and kill them?
I think that, for what they showed us, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a break between the attack from the Saviors to Alexandria, and then, of course, the Kingdom and the Hilltop came and saved the day. I think it's going to be a couple of weeks, because you start to see the training montage again. They have to get there. They have to formulate a plan. I think not only are they formulating a plan, but I think the Saviors understand that they now are dealing with competition in some sort of way. Before they were just the big bad guys who, and again, are they really the bad guys? That's the question. But they were the big bullies of the situation, you could say, and they basically imposed their will on whoever they chose to. And for the first time now, they're looking at a collaboration of not one, not two, but three separate communities, and they're all coming together. And I think Negan and the group and the Saviors at least have to take some time and say, this is what we're dealing with now. We had a plan in place. It did not go through. So there's got to be a time gap. So I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think that you're looking at a 2 to 4 week period in between where, the two sides, the two generals are formulating plans and strikes. And, we're going to see what happens there. If you follow the comic books, you kind of know what's going to happen. But, again, the show gives you the little twist. So I think to really answer Jay's question is there is a time gap. And I think we're going to come to that point where Rick and Alexandria are setting up for the initial attack. So that's exciting because, again, what's coming. Yep. But you also don't know how the Garbage Pail Kids are going to interact in this. So they kind of remixed it already without even remixing it.
Yeah, you got this wild card group over here.
Yeah.
I just hope they make a quick, swift, painful death.
Yeah.
And then we can just kind of flush them down the toilet and forget they ever existed.
Yeah, they're like one of those. If you ever played any kind of video games in the 90s, you have the mini boss before the boss. Yeah. I remember Streets of Rage 2. Playing that game over and over and over again, and you get to a certain point. I remember in the first stage of Streets of Rage 2, you fought this guy. His name was Jack Ripper, and he had knives. And you beat him up, and you go into the bar, and after you beat up the people in the bar, you fight the actual boss of stage 1. The Garbage Pail Kids are Jack the Ripper, the little stupid, annoying, mini boss that you just throw around before you get to the true challenge. So I think that's what the Garbage Pail Kids are. And I think one successful thing that The Walking Dead did with Negan was they gave you a couple of mini bosses before you got to Negan. And those mini bosses were Terminus, the wolves, and of course the zombies again. So you had these little mini bosses here and there before you actually got to Negan, including Negan's, his generals, Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham run into, T's group and they blow him up, and then the satellite that they went into, and then Carol and Maggie. So you had a combination of all these mini bosses before you got to the real deal, and now of course they're starting up again. And so I think the Garbage Pail Kids, I think fortunately for Jay, they're gonna get ousted quick, hopefully.
So this is when you start taking outside knowledge. So the leader, Jadis, did get promoted to series regular.
Yep.
So, at least you got a half season with them, I'd say.
I agree.
I don't think they give her series regular just to kill them off within the first 1, 2, 3 episodes. Or maybe just her. You never know. Maybe everyone else swept out and she retreats somewhere. But I think she'll have to play at least a somewhat important role. And then the other two who got promoted were Stephen Ogg, which I love. He's doing an awesome job with his character there. And Caitlin, actually. Caitlin Aiken.
Yep. And
which is Enid.
Enid.
Young, talented actress.
Yes. I mean, everybody on that show are... you got to look at the character list and just... Like Jay said, I like Stephen Ogg because I play Grand Theft Auto 5. And Trevor is the best character in that game. And Stephen Ogg's character in The Walking Dead is just like Trevor. Just he doesn't care. And he has that sense of humor that's just... awesome. You like to watch it. And Enid, and another, teenage actress, she does a great job. She, people were complaining about they were complaining about the chemistry between her and Chandler Riggs or Carl. And you know what? I think that they have good chemistry, and I think that they're doing good jobs for what they have to deal with going to school and playing these major characters on such a major show. That it's a privilege, and that's an accomplishment to be promoted to a season regular on The Walking Dead when you're not in the comic books.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I want to say
that's awesome.
Is Stephen Ogg's character in the comic books? I don't think so.
No, he wasn't.
So all three new series regulars are
all three are not in the comic books, and that's incredible. Stephen Ogg, they have other saviors. I can't think of the name of the savior off the top of my head that would be Stephen Ogg, but it's not him. It's just like Daryl Dixon is new. It's just they wanted to remix it a little bit, so that's what they did.
So what else is going to come up, you think, in the series?
So
anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Well, I obviously want to look forward to the start. Obviously, we know that Rick and the group can't just go in and beat up Negan.
Yeah.
We know that's not going to happen. We know there's going to be casualties. We know there's going to be heartbreak. It's going to be a fight. It's not going to be, again, it's not going to be like a feel-good movie where the good guy just goes in and kicks ass and wins. He's going to get knocked around a little bit here, and there are going to be plenty of
one of those satellite scenes where the entire group goes in and kills, 40 more people than they came with.
No. No. Negan is the greatest villain in the Walking Dead universe thus far, easily. It's not even close. He's composed. He's a general, and again, he is if you can call it the alter ego of Rick Grimes, that's what Negan is. Mm-hmm. So a good comparison would be Superman versus Doomsday. This is the only villain that could stop Superman. And it's like when you have these two, massive alpha males, and you have one of them who has had complete reign over several communities, finally show signs of weakness. And again, we talked about in season 7, it took the other alpha male to understand that he could not do it by himself. It was impossible. So now he evened out the playing field, but it took 3 communities to even out the playing field. Think about that. Think about how large of a challenge that must be to get three communities just to equal the force of Negan. So if anybody's expecting these 3 communities to go in and tigers just kill everybody and whatnot, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I expect it to be a full out fight. I can't wait to see how they remix it. I can't wait to see non-comic book characters, Daryl and Enid, and I want to see how they interact in this war. I want to see Morgan, because Morgan is already dead in the comic books. I want to see Carol, who's also dead, and she's a totally different character in this show. I want to see how they partake in this war, because it's almost like a refreshing twist to what we read in the comic book. So it's like, what's going to happen with these characters? Tara's in there. She's starting to get a little bit of moxie to her. Is she going to make it throughout the season? I also want to see who doesn't make it through the season, because I'm a morbid horror fan where I want to see the main characters perish. There's no sense of having a horror anything if you're not going to have, the good guys die. That's not a horror movie. That's a feel-good movie. So
how many people do you think, important characters you think are the good guys that are going to perish?
Well, I made the prediction already. I think with Morgan building that prison cell, I think that could be Rick's way of paying homage to Morgan, using that prison cell. I think that he'd be the one to use the prison cell to throw somebody in there. I don't think it's going to be Morgan. I think Morgan's time is up. I think they're going to also surprise us. They're going to take away one of either Carol or Daryl. One of them is not. I just have a funny feeling that they're gonna end one of them. And then, characters like Janice, like you said, I don't think she's going to make it. I think Stephen Ogg's character isn't going to make it. I think, I definitely think Tara's her days are numbered. But other than that, those are going to be the biggest characters I think bite the dust. And if you take away somebody like a Morgan and a Carol, I think those two deaths outweigh Abraham and Glenn, in my opinion, because of the importance of Carol, the longevity of Carol, and even the longevity of Morgan. You're taking away 2 season 1 characters in 1 year. Not one,
just
but
look
2.
At, like, how important Morgan is. Like, no other character has had 2 solo episodes.
Yeah.
And
if you count the first one, it might be 3.
Yeah,
so, this guy is insanely popular and important in the Walking Dead universe and in the show itself, and he's more popular in the show. So I think his time is up, unfortunately. That's my prediction. I don't know if they're gonna kill off Daryl. I don't think that they're that brave. If they do, they're gonna have to make it big. But I think Carol's time is up, and it's gonna cause Daryl, to take the next step. I can see Daryl and Dwight, kind of like collaborating there a little bit more. Stephen Ogg, as much as I love him, I think his time is up this season.
Yeah.
Janice, like Jay said, I think her time is up, and all the Garbage Pail Kids are done. I'm going to see a lot of deaths in the Kingdom, a lot of deaths in Hillside, but nothing like Maggie or Jesus or Morgan. I mean, not Morgan. Maggie or Jesus or King Ezekiel. So.
Yeah, they'll stick around. Rick, Carl, they're safe.
They're definitely safe. If they kill off Rick, that's a gutsy move, and I think that will kill the show. Can't kill off Rick. I think that if you kill off Rick, it's almost like you're kind of like saying "fuck you" to the fans. You could do what you want. Yeah. And that's not the way to go. I think they did that already with the season 6 finale when they just chose to do whatever they wanted to do. So. They're safe. Maggie's definitely safe. Yeah. I think you have other characters that I feel could be safe just because of the storyline, like King Ezekiel, Jesus. I think that they'll be safe. I don't know. Other than that, man. Anybody can perish right now, Negan is safe.
Eugene
is safe. I don't think he's gonna bite the dust yet. He's too important in the storyline. Rosita is a question mark. Even though in the comic book she lasts a lot longer than All Out War, I think she's a question mark this year. I really do. But anyways, it's hard to call because of how much they remix it. Dale and Andrea's not being there. Speaking of that, Michonne, I think she's safe.
Yeah.
I just see the only safe people in the show right now, in my opinion, are on Rick's side: Rick, Maggie, Carl, Michonne, King Ezekiel, Eugene, he's on Negan's side.
Yeah.
Negan, and I don't think anybody else. I think anybody else can go.
Yeah, Jesus as well.
Jesus, I'm sorry. Yeah. Jesus can go too. So just looking at that and knowing how many characters there are, that's safe.
Even we're trying to list them all. We haven't even mentioned Father Gabriel. He could go.
He can go. I mean, he was alive in the comic books, for a very long time. Spoiler warning there, but
yeah. At this point in time, he's still alive, but you never know. They could swap him out. And like I said, we're trying to list off big names here, and we're running out of memory and we're running out of fingers to count them. You're gonna have to start shrinking things up.
You have to, and characters like Tara and Enid, and little characters like other characters like what the hell is his name? I can't even think of it. You got Carol, Enid, I know, Daryl. You know he's a big character. I don't think he's safe because of just the way the storyline can go. I know Carol was a big name, but Carol, Enid, Daryl are three of the names that they can go. Rosita, you know, Aaron, you know, his
Aaron,
boyfriend,
yeah.
you know, Eric and Aaron are, so, you know, you got to pay attention to that stuff, man.
I think Eric's not going to make it too far.
I don't think Eric's going to make it through the first 4 or 5 episodes, to be honest with you. I think his death is coming soon. I mean, just by looking at the trailer, you know, Aaron has blood on his hands and blood on his face, and he's angry. He's not angry for no reason, you know.
And the actor was Jordan, I believe that's his name. He canceled Walker Stalker.
Yeah, see.
This series. He had work.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be a small thing. You never know. One thing, just some cross. They had changed shooting dates, whatever. It could be nothing at all.
Well, that was the kiss of death that Jay just did. That's called the kiss of death. Eric he's not making it past episode 4.
Yeah, I think we know according to the comics. You know what, guys? We're never gonna jump the comics with spoilers, but I just don't think it's gonna last that long.
You can't progress the Walking Dead story without at least identifying what the comic books are telling. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody thought that maybe Glenn was going to survive Negan's bat. No, because it doesn't progress Maggie's story. Mm-hmm. Certain things progress other characters' stories. And unless you're going to kill both of the characters, the obvious is going to happen. Like, you knew that Maggie could not be a leader if Glenn was still around. You knew that. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, he was going to die. You know? And... shot by shot, and another thing I looked at was shot by shot when they went to Hillside, and Rick killed the guy at Hillside, and he stood up and he asked everybody what was wrong, and then the wife stood over, she leaned over the dead body, and Maggie was looking out the window. If you look shot by shot, Maggie was sitting over Glenn's dead body the same way in the finale. So it's like, it was like a foreshadowing, like we talked about 2 years ago. So, just back on the subject, I just think that this season is going to be explosive. It's going to be heartbreaking, and it's going to have some sort of redemption to it as a season, and it's going to have some sort of closure to this chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. Yeah, it's not going to be. Yeah, it's not going to be season 6 where it didn't close a chapter the way it's supposed to. This is going to close a chapter.
Yeah. There's been a lot of death, like I've been talking about, a lot of action, a lot of shooting, a lot of humans, and Walker's going to get in between there. But you can't promote, this is a dangerous world, anyone could die if no one actually dies.
Exactly.
Exactly. You have to prove it.
Yes.
By killing people off. And it sucks because, we grow attached to these people. But, we're here for the story. The actors are fine. They're still alive. They're doing well. But that's what makes the story so unique is that people die.
This is actually the longest storyline if you think about it in the Walking Dead TV show. Mm-hmm. So the Rick finding his wife, Rick versus Shane storyline lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay, and it really only lasted a season and a half because the first season was 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. The prison, and the governors only lasted a season and a half, 3 and a half or 4. This season literally has lasted. If you look at it, this season has gone from the time that they made it to Alexandria, actually the time that they met up with Aaron in season 5 till now, because that obviously Aaron was part of Alexandria. That's the start of this next storyline. So this is the longest storyline, longest conflict, if you want to look at it that way, that Rick and the group has had. So this season ends that. A lot of people are saying, wow, this is only 1 season long for All Out War. You can't look at it that way. You got to look at the whole. Even though season 7 wasn't great, it still is part of this elaborate storyline, and that's how it is in the comic books. This is something to fear plus all out war. A new world all the way through all out war. So this is a huge part of the Walking Dead story, and it's finally coming to a close. So just think of how it has to come to a close. That's the interesting part.
And I want to think, it's not nailing the coffin close though. It's moving forward, I'll say. But hey, you never know. The story will continue just in a different pathway.
Yes. Yeah. And if you read the comics, they're jumping into another story, and this next story, you got to wonder if if this is going to be what breaks this new story that's coming out. If this is going to be what could break Rick finally. So we're so far from that. So this has to end to get there, and I don't want to wish your life away or wish the series away, but you want to see the progression. You want to see where they're going to go with this, because this has been a long journey from season 5.5 on. So it's a long journey, and we're finally coming to the end. And
I was just looking at it. It looks like they first ran into the Saviors. It was Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha there on the road.
Yep.
I think that was the first mention of Negan and them being the Saviors. And that was season 6, episode 9. But like you said, this has just been a track from Alexandria on.
Yeah, because it's the whole new world, and Alexandria, obviously, it still exists. Where that was a good point. But the prison, once the story of the prison started, you knew that was the start of the governor's story. The prison was the actual start of the war with the governor. So even though we got 4 episodes or so without the characters meeting the governor, you knew it was building up. So when they met Jesus and Aaron, and Jesus gave them that speech, they met Aaron and they got to Alexandria, then they met Jesus and he said there's a bigger world. It was really their trek to Washington, D.C., and that's when it really started. It's their trek to Washington, D.C. was the start of, this conflict with Negan, because now you're going into his territory, and that was my point. You're really in you're in Negan's territory, and that's why Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham ran into him, because you're in this new villain's territory without even knowing it.
Yeah.
So, just. To me, it's insane, and if you want to mark it as 6-9, that's still long. That's still the longest conflict in the series.
Oh yeah, by far.
By far. And to see how they ended is very interesting. And oh man, I just without not because I don't know what's gonna happen, but without spoiling it. By knowing the comic books, I really don't even want to say much more.
Right. So I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
We're talking about big name characters and everything, but there's one that's been missing for quite a bit of time. Where the hell is Heath?
Heath, yeah. Well, they gave you a hint, and they've been dropping the hint throughout. If you listen close. It's going to be PP Pants City. So, Tara found the card that said PPP on it. You know that Negan has scouts everywhere, and we knew that by the Walking Dead Season 6 finale, that he has so many people that he can put scouts and follow you around. It just doesn't matter. Obviously, they were on a run, and, they had just left, the outpost. So I think Negan could have sent people to follow them, to track them, or people from that outpost could have tracked them, whatever. PPP is a card. It's obviously, to me, it's a card. I think it stands for PP Pants or P Pants City or whatever. or it could be something totally different and it's just like a remix. But I think that with Oceanside having a rivalry with the Saviors, I think there's going to be a connection with the Saviors and Oceanside, maybe going back to Oceanside and destroying them all, and being revealed that they took Heath as they were scouting, Tara, and then noticed when Tara was escaping, noticed that girl helping her. I think that that's how they're going to tie Oceanside back into it. And maybe that girl from Oceanside survives and finds Alexandria. And then we'll find out that the same people, obviously they took Heath. Or it's something completely different. Or, because The Walking Dead doesn't drop the ball like Fear the Walking Dead would. It doesn't do it. So, or it could be something like somebody else, like, the guy with Morgan Eason. Maybe somebody helped Heath and it was a good guy, So
and maybe it stands for something else. Maybe they had a couple outs. Maybe it's
maybe
they took them somewhere else. Maybe like a power plant.
Yeah, maybe
Pittsburgh power plant, PPP.
It could be. It could be.
A random something like that.
Yeah.
It's they don't like to paint themselves in the corner, obviously. So at least
No.
that way, they can make something up. A name of a store or something like that to, left behind for the friends. But
a laboratory. You never. So maybe we will. We definitely will. So, like I said, I don't want to give too much away because I'm starting to delve into comic book spoilers, and it's hard because you get so excited, and I'm watching the the countdown. I like to watch the countdowns on TV because it's I don't like to watch movies when they're shown on TV because they cut the movie out and they cut the swears out and the gore out. But when you watch the countdown to the season premiere, it's the same thing as what you're watching on Netflix. So just to watch it, and you get the commercials and stuff like that. I think that's part of the show. So I get excited when I turn to AMC and it's just like I randomly turn to AMC and it's like season 3, episode 4 or something like that. So it's just like, wow, is nostalgia. I'm gonna watch a couple of episodes if I can, and then I turn it back on 2 days later and it's season 5. So it's like it's The Walking Dead on random.
Yeah, right.
So, but I just obviously I watched the season 7 finale. I always do that every year. I'll watch the finale before the premiere. So it's exciting, man. Like I said, can't even put it into words.
It's finally here.
It's here.
Yeah.
Finally.
All right, man. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want us to answer before we take off?
We have the questions from before.
We have a couple. I think we hit on a few of them already.
All right.
The ones in the email.
Okay.
Most of them were Fear the Walking Dead based.
Okay.
One of the real ones we could probably look at is if they were to go the opposite way, where they're bringing one character over to Fear the Walking Dead from The Walking Dead, who would that be, do you think?
Oh, we talked about this. Yeah, you're right. It would have to be like Abraham's crew because they were out west. If not, it would be Morales. I don't see it being anybody bigger than that. Like, I don't see it being Andrea because she wasn't out. I don't see it being, I don't see it being somebody like Morgan. I don't see it being somebody like Michonne. It definitely makes sense that it would be Rosita, Abraham, and Eugene. So that's the only characters I could see. The other characters I could probably see, only because of the Breaking Bad kind of thing, would be Daryl and Merle. But they were Georgia boys, so I don't think so.
Other than that, there we go. Favorite Walking Dead deceased character you'd like to see in a flashback scene, other than Glenn or Abraham, who Abraham actually just had a flashback this past season with Sasha's death episode. Glenn, I guess, is rumored to have possibly one this upcoming season.
Yeah. So I talked to the person about this question that gave it to me, and they said it can't be anybody with a flashback scene. So it can't be Herschel, can't be Shane. Basically, it can't be anybody who they appeared in a flashback. The one person I would love to see in a flashback. Oh man, that's a great question. I guess the one person I would love to see in a flashback would have to be Tyrese. I don't know how they would do it, but I like this. I like this character. In some ways, and then I didn't like him in other ways. I was gonna say Bob Stoogie, but they did a flashback with him, like a hallucination with him. Other than that, it made it hard to think about the character. So I think I'm just picking the process of elimination. Either Tyrese or hint, not a hint, but Jenner. I would love to see Rick have hear Jenner's voice telling him, everybody's infected, out loud. I would love to see a flashback scene to that, and then Rick wake up. I think that would be special. That would be nice to see, Jenner come back and Rick talking to him in dream and him walking around the laboratory and saying bye, blah blah blah, and then him telling Rick, everybody turns. That would be awesome.
All right. Other than that, I think that covers the emailed in questions.
All right.
Oh, here we go. Sorry. Biggest plot twist you guys could see happening in The Walking Dead that is different from the comics All-Out War storyline.
Biggest plot twist. I'll let Jay answer this one first.
Biggest plot twist. I think they're going to stick pretty close to the storyline. I think they went a little off the range this past season. I think they need to kind of stay on the line here compared to the comics so they don't upset more fans.
Okay.
As far as what would be the biggest one that could happen, well, we have so many different variables now. We have the the garbage pill kids over there. Yep. They're new. Mm-hmm. I think that we're gonna burn up some screen time dealing with them. Oceanside, I could see them being killed off and then having that guilt trip Tara where she's upset.
Yep.
Eugene's being part of Negan's team. That's different too.
Yeah, it is.
So that could be some conflict there. Where does Eugene go? Does he stay with them or does he jump ship once the tide starts turning? Or maybe he's been the inside man the entire time and that's difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would play that pivotal of a character though for this because we already have one betrayer which we saw at the end of the season with Dwight, and I think they have two double agents can kind of confuse that particular arc or that story.
Great questions, by the way, because you're making us think. So.
Yeah. I was just thinking once. If I had to choose, I think they'll stick pretty close. Little wavering, but I think they're gonna no major outside the line character deaths. Maybe some people we didn't think, but no major characters like Rick and Carl. They're not gonna die. I almost said somebody else's name, but I don't want to ruin it. But that person's probably not gonna die either. So maybe just instead of going for ABC, might go ACB. A little shifting of it. Skip everybody in the toes, but I don't think it'd be too drastically different.
That's good. That's a good answer. Biggest plot twist to me would be the biggest plot twist to me would be them basically. Man, that's you see. When you think about it, I think the biggest plot twist they can do is to. Only thing I can think of is they showed us the old Rick. Maybe that's the plot twist. I don't want to give away why he's old, but maybe that's different from what we know in the comic books. That's the only thing I can think of, is the old Rick could be something else. So, other than that, I think Jay's right. I think they got to stick to the comics on this one.
Yeah, I could see the presentation of the story, because I mean, with comics, you have to be kind of linear.
Yeah,
you can't go too much jumping around and flashbacks and stuff like that, because it can get confusing flipping through the pages. Whereas TV, it's much more open-ended. You can do a little bit different techniques to kind of convey what you want to convey.
Correct. Really good questions, guys. Thank you to the viewers that I asked to, show us some support and start viewing. I know they watched The Walking Dead, so I think that they're dedicated to that. I saw the views going up on YouTube. Thank you so much. You even checked out, The Walker Stalker. I saw you guys. A lot of people had a lot of comments on that. To me, and I thought that was nice. That you guys show support to that. Show support to the makeup show. I had a couple of my female friends that watched and said they have makeup on echo5studios.com, and they watched that because it was a different thing other than board games or The Walking Dead, so they thought that was good. And then I know some people in Vicarious Visions, which is a video game company. They made games like I can't even think of the games. They made some great games.
They did the Skylanders games, right?
Yep. I think that they made. What else did they make? They made another really big game. I can't think of it. I want to say it was. It'll come to me after the show is over, like it always does. I had a couple of people that watched the show from there, and they love D&D. They always comment about how they play board games and they like to tune in and they like to watch the D&D segment. So definitely continue to support us. We're just pumped.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, man, we're totally pumped, and like I said, thank you again for getting some of the views up on our shows, and we're back. So I'm gonna hold the challenge. We got to get these ad shares if we can. Start getting our views up. So definitely watch, spread the word, and check out the other content on this channel. You might find something for you if you don't like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to necessarily donate to help out with charity. It's just by subscribing, spreading the word. All that does help. You're helping out, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention or Red Cross is by doing that. Once we get enough pulled up in our little checking account there for our ads, we're going to forward that right on over. We're not using any of the money. Everything we have is bought. The lights, the cameras, that's all bought by us. So
trust me.
Whatsoever. Yeah, right? If we're using funds, we probably get James's new laptop over there.
Oh my God, this thing sucks. But it just shows you that we're just, basically this is an impromptu show. We're not using any of donations. Any of the, you guys donate to charities. It's not going into our pockets. It's going straight to the source. It's going straight to the charity, and that's what's good about this, because this is fun for us. I don't have to watch it. I just like to listen to it as a podcast, and a lot of my friends do that. The same thing at work. You can't watch YouTube while you're at work, and you can. You're just gonna get in trouble.
Hey, spread in the background, listen to us. That's all.
Yeah, man. And when you get home, you can watch, and like Jay said, hey man, this is something we wanted to do, or this was Jay's engineering, his brilliance, and he got it all together. He reached out with an idea, and we're running with it. So, how many shows do we have? We got to be coming up on a big number soon, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I have to count them up. We don't track the episodes necessarily by number, but you have to give them a count.
You got to.
Right.
We're definitely coming up to at least 50. Gotta be, if not more. More than 50.
I know for
16.
Our D&D, we just hit 40.
Yeah.
So
I noticed that.
Yeah, just by going off of our playlist, we're at 28.
28. Okay. So I was off. I'm thinking that we did more. I think I'm counting the top 5. That must be in there. We combine shows too, so okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Jumping ahead of myself again. This is improv too. We don't have anything written down.
Not fact checked.
Giving ourselves too much credit. If CJ should have just went with that shit. Yeah, this is the 77th show.
200 something. Yeah.
No, 28.
Sorry.
Oh man. All right, man. Well, I'm out. I just anticipation is running rampant, man.
Same here. I think we're gonna be in for one hell of a ride.
All right. And before we go, comic book readers, big comic book moment coming up in the next episode. The comic book will be released. Let's see. So Halloween is on Tuesday. Am I right? Yes.
Yeah.
Halloween is Tuesday, so November 1st is Wednesday. The comic book is coming out November the 1st. This is a huge episode for those of you who are keeping up with it. They're not named Jay, because Jay's not keeping up with it. Those who are keeping up and at episode issue 174, in for a treat. This is a big moment. The novels, people who are keeping up with the novels.
Mm-hmm.
Big moment happened in the novels. They're about to transition to something new. So definitely, this is a plug for The Walking Dead. Again, we're not getting paid for this, but still, this is a plug for them. Definitely check out the next coming issue and the novel that just came out, Return to Woodbury. Huge.
Yeah. I love those novels too.
Great, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are as psyched as we are. Hope you enjoyed the preview. Hope you guys get a chance to watch this before season 8 kicks off. And check us out every Monday after Found the Walking Dead, as James and I will jump back into it and dissect the previous episode.
Good night, everybody.